All right, well, thank you for being here this morning. A few years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago, frankly, during a time when crime, and in particular violent crime in Toledo, was higher than any one of us wanted it to be, we made the commitment, whether the news was good or bad, to release quarterly updates to the public on the progress we're making. Part of accountability and transparency is to communicate how we're doing, whether the numbers were good or bad. We made that commitment. And we've honored it. Roughly every 90 days at the end of every quarter, we gather either here or across the street and release the core statistics on the measurements we keep on public safety in Toledo. As we gather today, at the end of the third quarter obviously ended a week ago Monday, the end of September, there is no question that the story of Toledo this year is the incredible progress we are making when it comes to reducing all kinds of crime, but in particular violent crime. Bear in mind that in 2021, the city of Toledo had over 70 homicides in 2021. It wasn't too long ago. Today, as we stand here in early October, less than 3 months to the end of this calendar year, we've had 27 homicides. Now, I want to say, as I always do, that we don't want any homicides. Each one of those individuals represents a human life and someone who had people who loved him or her, and our goal is to not rest until those numbers are at zero, even as we, maybe intellectually understand that that's, probably unlikely to happen in any community in this country. That's still our goal. And as we talk about it, we keep that in mind. However, to be standing here today with less than 3 months left in this year, having seen 27 homicides, and about 3 years ago, we saw over 70 homicides. It can't be interpreted any other way, other than to say that we are a much safer city than we were last year, and the year before, and the year before. We have shown steady progress since 2021, and the numbers continue to get better. They have gone steadily down now for the better part of 3 years. You might recall that at the end of last year, we saw I believe it was 32%, I know it was over 30%, I think it was a 32% reduction in homicides from 2022 to 2023. You might say, well, homicides went down nationwide from 22 to 23, and that's true, but the national average was about 10%. What we saw in Toledo was better than 3 times the national average. We are over 30% in our reduction in homicides. So then you might say, as we enter 2024, well, with such a large percentage decrease year over year, if you remember fractions in 5th or 6th grade, it's going to be hard to show progress the next year because we already had such a large reduction the year before. And yet today, we're talking about an additional 16% reduction in homicides from where we were this time last year. So again, a reduction from 2022 to 2023 of over 30%, 3 times the national average. And then now we've added on top of that this year an additional 16% reduction in homicides. This is progress, and this is an indication that our plan is working. Again, I'm just going to say again, of course we're not satisfied until the number is 0. But it is the case that the plan we have adopted appears to be working. The team we have in place is achieving real results in our neighborhood. And maybe we'll gather here in 3 months and the story will have changed, but I don't think so. If it does change, my sense is it will continue to go down, because that is what we have seen steadily now for the better part of 3 years. There have been a lot of important stories that have happened in Toledo in 2024, a number of important stories. But the biggest story in our city this year might be the incredible reduction in violent crime that we continue to see. And I'm just glad that we have shown the discipline to stick to our plan. When we embraced our plan a few years ago, there were parts of it that weren't politically popular, especially the work that Malcolm Cunningham is doing with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. I think a lot of folks who didn't understand maybe what that was all about, made some pot shots against Malcolm and his efforts. And the fact of the matter is that part of our strategy maybe wasn't as politically popular as some others because it takes a while. But the work he is doing takes a while to show results. That's why folks who only care about politics and don't care much about governing are sometimes slow to embrace those strategies because it takes months, if not years, to see the results. And it took a discipline to stick with the plan when people more focused on sort of politics were running around talking about how we had to embrace other strategies, strategies that could have worked in the 19th century, but aren't as relevant now in the digital age. Fortunately, we ignored those voices. We ignored the voices of the politicians and the politics and the people only interested in scoring political points, and we embraced the careful, thoughtful approach that those who care about governing embrace. Malcolm was just one part of it, a small part of it. Another part of it was the investments we've made in youth. You've heard me talk about that, over 100 free programs per year, every year for the last 3 years. Not just sports programs, but you want to learn how to be an urban gardener, you want to learn how to code or do a podcast. We had hundreds of, over 100 a year, free programs for kids. I think that made a difference. Growing the size of the police force has made a difference. When I became mayor, the size of the police force had dipped to about 580 officers, maybe 585. It had been steadily declining for the better part of 20 years. At the cost of some financial commitment, we decided to reverse that. And we have seen the force now grow for the first time in 22 years, steadily up to, it's about 630, 635, depending on the day. There's always retirements and such, but we've seen a net gain of officers. That's not just important in the abstract. Having more officers is what is needed for the chief and his team to be able to engage in the kind of policing that we've always wanted to do, but weren't able to do when we didn't have enough officers. And that's the community policing, walking the beat, getting out of the squad car, developing relationships with citizens and business owners. That is a part of what has worked. The criminal justice system correcting itself after COVID has made a difference. We brought on Rebecca Facey in the prosecutor's office. Her focus on domestic violence has been profound. It's one of the reasons that, relatively speaking, there have been so many fewer DV homicides than there had been in the past. We are not only arresting more frequently the individuals who are responsible for these violent crimes. Now that we can have jury trials again, which we couldn't do during COVID, now that the backlog in the criminal justice system has caught up, these individuals are being sentenced and put behind bars at a rate that was not the case during the worst of COVID. That's another part of it. And so I think what I'm trying to convey here is that there wasn't any one magical thing that we've done to show this incredible improvement. It's everything. It's every little thing stacked on top of one another as part of a larger plan that has allowed us to enjoy the success we have seen. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out one other factor that has happened during this time, and that is bringing on a chief of police who has proven to be excellent at what he does, and the department that he runs has been excellent, and the results speak for themselves. So I'm going to turn it over to him now, not only to talk about maybe the more logistical aspects of these stats, but as recognition that part of our formula that is now so clearly proven successful is the leadership that he has shown. And I'm glad he's on our team. And so I'd like to turn over to the Chief of Police, Mike Troendle.
Thank you, sir. All right, good morning, everybody. So just to try to piggyback off the mayor's comments, there's a lot of stuff that he's covered there that hits at the heart of the matter, if you will. One thing that he talked about is arresting more of our shooters and those people that are committing homicides. This year, we have a 93% homicide clearance rate. National average is 50 to 55%. Last year, we had a 70% clearance rate. We are doing a great job investigating these homicides, these shootings, and making sure that we are actually apprehending those responsible. To the point that what I feel is a part of our big success in reducing our shootings, our homicides, is the fact that we have arrested a lot of the right people, and those are currently behind bars. And that has had a positive impact on our community. When I talk about our investigation team, they're doing a fabulous job. But the reality is we couldn't do that job without our community. Our community has continually stepped up over the last couple of years and helped us on these investigations. And for that, I am very thankful. I've always said from the very beginning that nobody knows their neighborhood better than the people that live there. And for us to come in there and help make a difference in those neighborhoods, in those communities, we need the help of the community. So that is a factor that has helped us continually reduce the crime that we're seeing in our city. And that can't be praised enough. So I pray that we continue to get the support of our community and they continue to help us in these investigations and help us do a better job being out there in your community, helping you have a safer place to live. And that's really what it's about at the end of the day, making sure that we're giving you the best quality of life that we possibly can from a safety forces perspective. And not only from a safety forces perspective, but a lot of the initiatives we do, like our team initiatives, we partner with other city agencies to help you have a better community, whether it's cleaning up blight, tearing down abandoned houses, cleaning up alleys. Those are things that we do as a more of a holistic approach to addressing the crime. And I think it's having a positive impact, not only on the crime, but on our neighborhoods. Do we still have issues out there? Yeah, absolutely, we do. There's no doubt about it. But living in a major city is something that we're always going to have issues, and that's something that we're going to have to continually to figure out ways to address it and develop plans to make sure that we can, deliver the best product that we can. And I think that's important with our intelligence-led policing, our meetings that we continually have. We're very intentional about what we're doing out there. It's not a scatter approach, just go out there and patrol an area. We're using our data to identify areas that are likely to be victimized or are likely to see more activity, and we're doing something about that. And that's an important aspect of policing in today's age. The mayor mentioned Monzi and some of the work that they're doing. I support that wholeheartedly, because what that does for us is, over the last 3-4 decades, policing has taken on more and more every single year. We are the only ones that are working at 3 o'clock in the morning when something happens, so there's no other resources available. So policing has kind of adapted over the years to try to handle a lot of different problems that were traditionally outside the scope of policing. Those are things that we try to do, and we are always trying to build on those. However, programs like Monzi allows us maybe to take a little bit step back from certain areas so we can more focus our approach on addressing the things that we're better at. And Malcolm's able to get in there, whether it be some helping in the schools or out in the neighborhood, and providing some services that allows us to go and use our forces in a different direction. So for me, it is important that that's there because it allows us to work kind of in concert and develop a more holistic plan to address the crime. So those are all good, positive things. I will tell you, you know, the one small blip on our map or on our data there is our burglaries.
It's pretty small. 0.02%.
Yes, sir. So it's an interesting stat though, because you know, a lot of times, I had a reporter tell me back in 2013 when we were starting to reduce the burglaries pretty significantly, why don't you ever report on that? And they said, because it's not sexy, nobody cares. And if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead, right? So the reality is, I wholeheartedly took offense to that and said, you got to understand something. I think burglaries is a very important metric in our society. And so it's something that over the last 10 years we have specifically addressed and made sure we targeted. So I'm concerned that it's gone up too. But when you look at 2011, and that was the baseline when we started our intelligence-led policing, we had 8,366 burglaries in the city of Toledo. We have had a year-over-year decrease because of the tactics we employ to reduce burglaries every single year. At some point, as the mayor kind of alluded to, there's always going to be a base level of crime in any city. It's just, unfortunately, that's the society we live in, and that's the way our world works. Every year I've always said, man, burglars are down again. When are we going to hit that floor? Maybe this is the floor, or maybe it's a small blip in our path. But it's something that we'll continue to address and try to make sure that we keep a control over. But it's significant that we're sitting in October with 1,000 when we used to have over 8,000. And so while we saw 2 increase, our analysts and our officers, our command officers hear it from me at every briefing, what are you doing about the burglaries? So, but those are the kinds of things that we do, because if you're going to track something, if you're not going to do something to address it when it starts to rise or lower, then what's the point of tracking it? And what we've found in our business is if you track something, you can impact it. And that's what we're doing. And, you know, the programs that we're still running with our, you know, community engagement, our officers out on foot patrol, you know, that'll run through the end of October. We'll conclude our foot patrol for the year, but we'll do that again next year too, because that has had such a positive impact on our department and those neighborhoods that we're out there serving. So, you know, in the end, it is a lot of things that happen to get to this point, but I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the people that are out there every single day, every single hour of the day, putting their life on the line for our community. And they're out there, the ones that are making a difference out there. So for that, I want to just say thank you, and I appreciate the work they're doing.
You know, among other attributes, Chief Troendle is a Marine, and Marines get things done. And I think in these statistics you see another example of that. Marines develop a plan, stick to a plan, and see the plan through to its successful completion. And again, I think that's what you're seeing here in these statistics. You know, I don't talk a lot about this. There's actually quite a few things about my private life I try to keep to myself, but I don't know, in a moment like this it seems relevant to point out that this issue is more personal to me than maybe most appreciate. I mean, you know, obviously everyone knows my dad was a cop for 25 years, but what folks might not know is that, you know, I've been a victim of violent crime. Not all the elected officials who offer their opinion on this subject matter have, but I have been. I had my home broken into while I was in it. I mean, I was in the house, and these kids came in, and you know, it doesn't matter. The point is, I've had my car stolen twice once from in front of the house, you know, so this isn't a distant concept for me. You know, this is real, and it's real for a lot of the residents of Toledo. And so while we're not done, we're not going to be satisfied until the numbers continue to go down. It is absolutely the case that we are seeing some real progress, and the chief and his team are a big part of it. Malcolm and his team are a big part of it. The fact that we're adding police to the streets are a big part of it. Youth program, it's all a part of what we're trying to do, and now the numbers speak for themselves. You know, like John Adams said, you know, everyone is entitled to his own opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. The facts are homicides in Toledo have gone down by nearly half just in the last 2.5 years. In half. Cut that number almost in half. And that's, there aren't many cities in this country that have seen that kind of progress. And maybe not every day, but every 3 months we're going to stop and talk about it. And that's what today is all about. So I really appreciate your time. We'll be back again, I guess, in the early part of January. At that point, we'll be talking not just about the fourth quarter stats, but the full year-over-year stats. And my sense is we're going to continue to see progress. So I don't know if there's any questions for me or the chief. Otherwise, we'll...
Excuse me, you mentioned that the community has helped quite a bit, Chief. In what way? Are they keeping an eye on their neighborhoods and calling things in, or what?
So, yes, so kind of, we do get a lot of calls for 911 for people that are looking in their neighborhood, that are out there making sure that, you know, they're trying to keep their community safe. What I was specifically mentioning was our investigations. So we've had a lot of investigations this year where we've had a lot of our community step forward and provide information that has helped lead us to a successful arrest. And I get it's a tough position to be in because there's a lot of factors that come into play when you make a decision whether you're going to talk to the police or not and help the police. But we've also gone and done a lot of different programs to allow more anonymous reporting and more proactive reporting, if you will, by letting them register their cameras and provide information for their contact information. So we don't actually have to show up on your doorstep. We can just call you or email you and get your cooperation that way. You know, one of the things we always talk about is we have over 1,131 private housing cameras registered with the city of Toledo with our police department right now. We have over 656 integrated cameras from businesses, schools, those type of things that are inside our system as well that we can actually access and monitor live. So those are all things that help us do our job better. So yes, we do have a lot of people that are out there that will call us when they see something, which is very important, but we have other people that are out there that are taking steps to make sure that, you know, we're aware that they want to help us too.
You also mentioned Monzi has also contributed. I know they've got quite a detailed plan. Is there anything in particular you can point to that you think
No.
to reduce violent crime?
No, just the investment, you know, the investment at the neighborhood level that they make. It's very different in some ways than, well, in a lot of ways, than sort of traditional policing. You know, they try to build relationships and head off problems before they start. I will say this, that the good work they are doing continues to be rewarded. Just, I think it was just last week, they received a $1.1 million grant that's going to allow them to increase their efforts inside the schools. There are 3 high schools in particular that they're now going to be able to, you know, beef up their presence. And of course, as I stand here, I think it's Scott. Instead of getting it wrong, do you know the 3 high schools?
I don't, sir.
Okay, but there's 3 high schools. I think, I know one of them Scott, but I don't want to misquote the other 2. Amy can get that. There's 3 high schools that we are now going to be able to increase our presence in because of this $1.1 million grant. Wouldn't have gotten that grant if there wasn't a sense that we were getting results. But that's the sort of thing, you know, just to take this one example, this one grant. They're going to be now sort of embedded in the high schools in a way that they weren't before. You know, eyes and ears, you talk about eyes and ears on the ground. In that case, you know, the eyes and ears might be in the hallways, you know, or in the cafeteria. Just trying to head things off before they get out in the community where they become issues for our officers to deal with. So, again, like I mentioned earlier, those things don't pay off as quickly. They are a little longer term, and in our community, since we hadn't done it before, it's new, and anything new, I think, takes a while to understand. But again, the results speak for themselves, and we're only likely to see an accentuation of those efforts as we continue to be recognized for the good work and continue to accept, again, it's $1.1 million we got just last week, or Muncie got just last week. All right.
Is that it?
I think so.
If no further questions, will be done at this time. We'll shut it down.
All right. All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.